Waiting for that long-awaited positive pregnancy test can feel like an emotional roller coaster, especially if you thought conception would happen quickly after a vasectomy reversal. Each month that goes by without a positive test, it stings. But what if I told you that your mindset could be the missing piece to your journey? In today's episode, we'll dive into the gap between expectations and reality, uncover the power of a strong fertility mindset, and explore steps that you can take today to shift from stress and doubt to hope and trust. Whether you're battling discouragement, anxiety, or the emotional weight of waiting, this episode is for you. Feeling like this whole baby-making journey is never going to work out? You've done it all, diet changes, supplements, tracking your cycle, and yet the pregnancy test is negative. It's so frustrating, and you're asking yourself, why isn't this happening for us? I'm Susan Gladstein, a holistic fertility coach and mom to 7, including 2 miracle babies after a vasectomy reversal, and I get it. Being told everything looks fine by doctors while still feeling stuck can leave you feeling hopeless and confused. On this podcast, I'll share practical, natural ways to support your fertility without all the overwhelm. Forget the everything's normal talk and the rush into fertility treatments. I'm here to show you a better way. If you're ready to take practical steps that fit with God's plan for your family, you're in the right place. I truly believe that you can have the baby you've been praying for. Did you think that getting pregnant after a vasectomy reversal would be easier than this? Are you feeling frustrated, overwhelmed, and wondering, why is this taking so long? I've been there, and that's why I created the VR Baby Bootcamp. Join me on February 24th to cut through the confusion and finally understand what's holding you back. We'll talk about improving egg and sperm quality, tracking cycles the right way, and creating a plan that works for both you and your partner. This bootcamp is all about giving you the steps that you can start right away and the ones that you need to feel hopeful and confident in your journey. Ready to stop spinning your wheels and start moving forward? Register at susangladstein.com/bootcamp. All right, I know the longing, the hope, the ache of waiting for that positive test. I've stood where many of you are, desperate for a sign, hopeful every month, only to feel the weight of disappointment when it didn't happen. I remember being so full of positivity and hopeful thinking. We had the reversal, and everything about that whole process was so smooth and definitely full of God's amazing miracles at each and every turn, including providing the finances for the procedure, time off for my husband's recovery from work. And I had 2 kids that I had no trouble getting pregnant with. And my husband had 3 sons, so I knew he was a fertile turtle. I was convinced we'd get pregnant right away for sure. But most of you already know it did not go that way. Our first semen analysis showed some sperm present, which our doctor said was a great sign, especially after my husband's VE connection. But the next month, 0, zip, zilch. It was a crushing blow. Our doctor didn't seem too concerned and suggested a protocol that actually brought incredible results over the next few months. I mean, his numbers were fantastic, and yet I still wasn't getting pregnant. And each month that passed felt heavier and harder. The doubt, frustration, all the questions. What if something's wrong? What if I miss my chance? What if this was all for nothing? I mean, I was pushing 40, and of course, everyone tells you your fertility falls off a cliff after 35. And then 4 months after our reversal, I finally saw 2 pink lines. I was overjoyed. I cried, I prayed, I thanked God. I mean, my heart was so full. A couple days later, on my birthday, I started bleeding. some gift, huh? My doctor ordered blood work, and I will never forget the pain of hearing, must have been a false positive test. You were never actually pregnant. I'd never even heard of a false positive test before. And in that moment, it felt like God had dangled my dream in front of me, only to rip it away. And that was a turning point. Not just physically, but mentally and spiritually. And if it wasn't enough, I got the news weeks later that I'd be deploying for 6 months, and I was devastated. Putting my hopes and dreams in the one thing I couldn't imagine wanting more, a baby, on hold for over 6 months. Ugh. I still feel all of the emotions of that. I was standing at my kitchen counter and I cried out to God in anger. I had never felt so lost or abandoned. All my old wounds, the pain of my earthly father's suicide when I was 14, all came rushing back. Had God abandoned me too? But in that deep valley, I heard his loving voice. Do you not trust me? Look at all I have done. And looking back now, because of course hindsight is always 2020, I realized I'd put all of my hope and faith in a pregnancy test instead of in God's perfect timing. And now, knowing how the story ends, I can confidently say God's timing was absolutely perfect. Of course, the days were not easy at all. But I'm so thankful that his plan, better than we could ever ask or imagine, unfolded exactly when it needed to. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." I clung to that verse every day while I was deployed in my windowless dorm room in the Middle East, and even during the 7 months that followed until I got my next positive pregnancy test. If you've been struggling with the emotional and mental weight of trying to conceive, my prayer is that this episode blesses you and fills your heart with hope. For so many couples, the expectation is, well, we got reversal, so now we'll get pregnant quickly. The reality, it usually takes time. And every negative test can feel like a punch to the gut. So today I want to talk about mastering your fertility mindset. Not with just like empty positivity, but with actual practical tools to help navigate this journey with grace, peace, and of course, faith. All right, let's be honest here. It's tough, isn't it? You are in those Facebook groups and you're seeing others conceive right away. I mean, they even broke the rule on when to try after their reversal. And you probably thought the same was going to happen for you. But one of the hardest parts of this journey that no one prepares you for is how long it might take. It takes 6 to 12 months for sperm to fully return, and a lot of times, and 72 days-ish for sperm to regenerate. So even with perfect fertility, the chance of conceiving each month is only like 20 to 25%. If you're over 35, obviously that timeline often stretches out a bit. And even without the added complication of a reversal, can we just take a moment to appreciate what a miracle it is to conceive at all? And that's why I focus so much on mindset with my clients. I mean, what do you do with this reality? Do you let it defeat you, or do you learn how to navigate the journey with patience, faith, and trust in the process? Do you have a solid belief that you will get pregnant? Because here's the thing. Your thoughts and stress levels aren't just emotional hurdles. Science shows that they actually directly impact your fertility. A 2018 study in the Fertility and Sterility found that women who reported higher levels of stress had a harder time conceiving than those with lower stress levels. And this is because chronic stress raises cortisol and adrenaline levels, which can disrupt our ovulation and hormone balance. There's also a Harvard study that found that women who engaged in a mind-body fertility program, which included relaxation techniques, cognitive behavioral therapy, and meditation, were nearly twice as likely to conceive compared to those who didn't. Another study in human reproduction showed that women with the higher levels of alpha amylase, which is a marker of stress, were 29% less likely to conceive per cycle. So what does that mean for you? It doesn't mean you can think yourself pregnant, but it does mean that managing stress, shifting your thoughts, and cultivating peace creates a hormonal environment that supports conception. And guess what? The Bible's been saying this all along. In Psalm 27:14, it says, "Wait for the Lord. Be strong and let your heart take courage. Wait for the Lord." Waiting isn't about doing nothing. It's about preparing, believing, and trusting that God is working behind the scenes. I mean, think about Hannah in 1 Samuel 1. She longed for a child, prayed, cried out to the Lord, but she never stopped believing. She poured her heart out before the Lord, and he heard her. So if you're feeling discouraged, I want you to know God sees you. He hears every prayer, and he has not forgotten you. I want to talk about some practical steps to shift your mindset. Number one, change your inner dialogue. Instead of, "It's never going to happen," or maybe even you believe the people around you who are naysayers, try saying, "God's timing is perfect, and I'm preparing my body and my heart for this baby." Words truly have power, so speak life into your journey. And number two, use the yet mindset. Instead of saying, "I'm not pregnant," say, "I'm not pregnant yet." That simple word, yet, keeps the door open. Number three, guard your heart and mind. If social media is triggering, take a break. If ovulation tracking is making you obsessive, take a step back. Focus on the things that fill you up, not what drains you. And number four, strengthen your faith through action. You may want to start a TTC prayer journal or write down your fears and then surrender them to God. Find a support, whether it's a group or a coach. By the way, I know someone. Just know that God is never late. He isn't punishing you or ignoring you. He is preparing you. Your miracle may be a month away, or it may still be unfolding, but your story is far from over. If you need more encouragement like this during your waiting season, I have a gift for you. I wrote a devotional called Faithful in the Wait, and it's filled with scripture, prayers, and mindset shifts that helped me through the hardest days of trying to conceive. You can reach out to me on Instagram at conceivingaftervr or email me at susan@susangladstein.com. I'll send you a copy. Remember, your miracle is already in motion. Speak life over your fertility. Reclaim the peace in the waiting and trust that God's timing is never late. Because mama, I believe your story is just beginning. Thank you so much for joining me on Conceiving After Vasectomy Reversal. I hope you're feeling encouraged and more hopeful on your journey to growing your family. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could use a little extra support. I absolutely love reading your reviews. They mean the world to me. Like, seriously, words of affirmation are my love language. So let's stay connected. Find me on Instagram at conceivingaftervr and join our Conceiving After Vasectomy Reversal Facebook community for even more support and encouragement. I believe that God placed the desire for a child on your heart for a reason, and I'm grateful to walk alongside you in this season, to encourage you, and to help you find joy in the journey, trusting that His plan is greater than we could ever imagine.
Thanks for listening.